A couple of days more and Navratri season will roll out in full glory. While it signifies celebrations and galore, it also marks the beginning of the fasting days. The recipe I'm going to be making today is a fasting recipe straight out of my mom's kitchen, and I call it the Upvas ka Dhokla. First, I'm going to warm up some buttermilk. Don't boil it, just warm it for 30-40 seconds. I have some washed samo or bhagar or mordhan, whatever you call it. So I have a cup of this. Make sure you wash it properly. The buttermilk is warmed up now and I'm going to mix it in this. If you warm the buttermilk for very long, it might just curdle. So make sure it's just for 30-40 seconds. And keep this aside for at least half an hour to soak. This mixture has been soaking for half an hour, and now I'm just going to lightly grind it in the blender. Just once or twice. And this is done. Remove it again in this bowl. Before you mix all the other ingredients, make sure you have a pot of water that is boiling. Also, I have like a 8 inches thali over here that I've just greased with oil. And now I'm going to season this batter. So I have some ginger chili paste, salt, mix the two together. Lemon juice. Don't stir in the lemon juice yet. On top of this, I'm also going to add some Eno fruit salt. So 1 sachet. Mix it properly. Pour this batter into this thali. And just give it a light stir. And straight on the boiling water. Steam the dhokla for 15 minutes on high flame. "15 minutes are done and I'm going to open this. Let's get this out. Let it rest for 15 minutes before we do the tadka. "15 minutes are now over and now I'm going to cut them. So just clean them up from the rim of the thali. And now the tadka. Heat up a little bit of oil. Once the oil is nice and hot, add a couple of boria chilies or round chilies or any dry red chilies that you have. Also a few curry leaves. Just add a couple of tablespoons of water. Be very careful. just a little bit of sugar. Let the sugar dissolve in the water and this is done. Pour this tadka over the dhokla and let it absorb all the water. Also garnish it with coriander leaves and freshly grated coconut. Gear up for the festive season and enjoy your fast with a little bit of health and taste. With that, this is Ruchi signing off. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Navratri is the time for Garba and some fasting. But fasting doesn't mean eating boring food. So today we are going to make an interesting and spicy recipe that you can munch on throughout the day. And that is Masala Makhana. Here I have a pan and we have to dry roast the ingredients. I'm not adding any added fat because the main ingredients contain enough natural fats. Add your green chilies and let them roast. Our green chilies are now roasted and their water has dried up. To this I'm going to add 1/4 cup of cashew nuts or kaju. Again roast them for around 3 to 4 minutes. Once the kaju has changed the color slightly, add your makhana to it. I'm adding 1 cup of makhana to this. Again dry roast this for around 3 to 4 minutes. It's an extremely easy recipe to prepare and the best thing about it that you can carry it anywhere. In around 3 to 4 minutes, the makhana will turn crispy. Let's try it. There, it's ready. Now to this, I'm going to add some spices. Here I have half teaspoon of jeera powder, half teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper powder, half teaspoon of salt. If you're going to have this recipe during your fast, then you can add rock salt instead of normal salt. Then goes in half teaspoon of amchur powder or dried mango powder. Now I'm going to add half teaspoon of red chili powder, but you are free to avoid this also. Give this a quick mix. Now switch off the gas and add 1 teaspoon of honey to it. Give it a mix. Honey will help the spices stick to the makhana. So our makhanas are roasted well and now it's time to serve them. So this was my version of masala makhana, but please feel free to add or remove any spices according to your taste. Keep watching Beat Batter Bake with Upasana and wish you all a very happy Navratri. Until next time, bye-bye.
Ancient Indian festivals and rituals advocate fasting on days like the Ekadashi and the Navaratras. And if you are one of those who fast on these days, you will love the pulao that I'm going to be making for you today using the Indian barnyard millet, also known as bhagar, varai, samo or prat ke chaval in many Indian languages. So let's begin. I'm going to put in 440 grams, which is about 2 cups of barnyard millet. Stir it until the millets are nicely roasted. Roasting the millets this way ensure that they turn out nice and fluffy and do not stick to each other when cooked. This millet is technically a seed, so it makes it perfect for the days of fasting. It's been about 8 to 10 minutes. The millets are nicely roasted and I'm going to transfer this to a bowl. Let's keep this aside for a bit and allow it to cool down. To bring in some flavor into the pulao that we are making, let's roast some spices. So I'm going to put in 6 cloves, the seeds of 6 cardamom pods, a teaspoon of cumin seeds, about 8 to 10 peppercorns, an inch stick of cassia. If you don't have it, you can use cinnamon. I'm going to roast this for about 3 to 4 minutes until the spices are aromatic. And now on to my favorite step, pounding the spices with my mortar and pestle. Let's get started with preparing the pulao. We have taken about 440 grams, nearly half a kilo of varai. So I'm going to need about 4 to 5 tablespoons of ghee. Once the ghee melts, I'm going to stir in a teaspoon of freshly grated ginger, 1 crushed green chili, give it a good stir, and then put in 2 carrots, 2 bell peppers that have been chopped, half a cup of cabbage, and 2 potatoes that have been peeled and cubed into small pieces. If you don't eat these vegetables when you're fasting, you can just use the potatoes, or you could skip that as well. I'm going to cover the lid and cook the vegetables for about 3 to 4 minutes. Wash the millets nicely. It's been about 3 to 4 minutes and the vegetables are partially cooked. And into the vegetables, I'm going to pour in 4 cups of water and allow this to come to a boil. The water has begun to boil, and into the simmering water, I'm going to put in 2.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm using powdered sea salt, the powdered spices, give it a good stir. And then I'm going to squeeze in the juice of 1 lime. And finally, in goes the washed millet. I'm going to mix all this up together. Lower the heat, put on the lid, and allow this to cook on low heat for about 15 to 20 minutes. The aroma of the spices wafting through the air when the lid is opened is so comforting. Millets, apart from being one of the oldest, are also one of the healthiest foods for us. So even if you're not fasting, try and include millets in your diet and give me your feedback in the comments below. Until then, happy cooking and healthy eating.
For festivals like Navratra, I like to treat my family and friends with some unique recipes. Today, I'm going to use one of the most underrated root vegetables, Arbi, and make a chatpata masaledar Arbi stir fry. Hey guys, this is Bombay chef Varun Inamdar and welcome to Rajshri Food. Like I said before, Arbi is one of the most underrated root vegetables. Of course, potato being the most famous one. Being an underground vegetable, it needs to be washed absolutely well in running water. This needs to be pressure cooked for a minimum of 4 whistles using a little bit of carom seeds and kokum. This intensifies the flavor, and also Arbi has a peculiar itch, so that is taken care of. This vegetable, on cooling down completely, needs to be peeled, and then needs to be cut in sizes like so. Well, you could also leave the pieces of arbi nice and whole, but I am going to make tiny little starters. So cut them like so. At this stage, you could fry the pieces of arbi, but what I'm going to do is treat this like aloo tuk, which is a very popular Sindhi specialty. For this, I'm going to oil my palm lightly and press the pieces lightly, like so. Continue doing this till you've pressed all the pieces of arbi. Let's start with some spices. I'm using some red chili powder, followed by coriander powder. Along with this, some roasted cumin powder, amchur powder or dry mango powder. This is to make it nice and chatpata. Some pink salt. Along with this, some freshly crushed fennel seeds. I've lightly toasted them so that it's easier to crush. I've kept the fennel nice and coarse so that you get a nice bite while you eat the arbi. To make this nice and crisp, some rice flour, and finally some salt as required. We need to dab the pieces of arbi in the masala so that they get nicely coated. Once this is done, we need to start heating a pan along with some oil. Once the oil heats up, we need to start frying these. After a minute of frying, we need to lightly flip it over. Fry this till they become nice and golden brown on both sides. Time to transfer these on an absorbent kitchen paper. The true test of this fried arbi is that it's nice and crisp on the outside and soft within. The pieces of arbi are fried and ready. Let's move on to making the tempering. For the tempering, the first thing is to heat a wok with a little bit of oil. Once the oil heats up, I'll add in mustard seeds. Once these begin to splutter, I'll add in shallots. Along with this, dried red chilies. To this, some carom seeds or ajwain. Well, I'd added this while boiling, if you remember. I'm adding this again to get that nice intense flavor of carom. To this, curry leaves. White sesame seeds. And along with this, the fried arbi. Give this a few tosses lightly without breaking the pieces of arbi. With this, freshly grated coconut, along with a few splashes of lemon juice. A quick few tosses, and this now straight goes in the serving plate. So here is my version of Chatpata Masala Arbi Fry. I'm sure you may have your versions also. Do send them in. Do not forget to like and share the videos and subscribe to Rajshri Food.
And credit. Superb.
Superb. Chalo. Are bhala mori Rama, bhala tari Rama, bhala mori Rama, bhala tari Rama. Are bye bye.
Navratri is a festival where Goddess Durga is worshipped for 9 days and 9 nights in different forms. During this phase, most of us also go on a fast where we don't eat our regular roti, sabzi, dal, chawal. Since Navratri is just around the corner, I'm going to be showing you one of the dish that is usually eaten during a fast, which is called the Sabudana Khichdi. Let's get cooking. To make the Sabudana Khichdi, first let's make the coarse peanut powder. For that, I've taken 2 cups of peanuts, which I'm going to roast for about 4 to 5 minutes on a medium flame. The peanuts have got roasted well. Usually you can remove the skin of the peanuts, but I prefer to keep it so that the powder gets a very unusual brown color. So let's just grind this to a nice coarse powder now. Remove this powder in a bowl. For this recipe, you're not going to need so much of peanut powder, but I just wanted to show you the method of making the peanut powder. I'll tell you how much peanut powder is going to be required for this recipe. So for the khichdi, I had soaked 1 cup of sago or sabudana, which now has puffed up and become so much. So you take this in a bowl, in an empty bowl. You add about half a cup of peanut powder. Mix it well. Some salt. Around 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of sugar. Mix this really well. Heat a kadai and melt about 2 tablespoons of ghee. To this melted ghee, you can crackle some cumin seeds, but some of us do not have cumin seeds when we are fasting. So I'm just going to add 5 spicy chilies. And I have boiled 2 medium-sized potatoes which are chopped into 1/2 inch cubes, which I'm going to add to this. Just fry these potatoes for about a few seconds. To this I'm going to add the sabudana and mix this really well. Make sure that the flame is on medium. Once you've mixed the khichdi really well, you need to cover it and cook it on a low flame. While this is getting cooked, let me tell you the technique of soaking the sabudana. Take about 1 cup of sabudana and just drown them in a bowl of water for about 2 hours and then drain off all the water, cover it and let it fluff up for about 6 to 8 hours, and then your sabudana is ready to be made into a khichdi. You need to occasionally stir this khichdi so that it just does not get burnt. This is almost done. Just let's cover it for about 2 minutes more and then we can serve it. Let's check on the khichdi. This is done, and now let's just put it in a serving bowl. And garnish it with some coriander leaves. Our sabudana khichdi is all ready to be eaten. Please do try this recipe and enjoy it. Give me your feedback and wish you a very happy, safe Navratri.
In this fast and busy life, there are days where we have very limited time to cook. So this is one of the recipes from my mother's kitchen, and it's really quick to make, and it's called sweet potato khichdi. This recipe takes quite some time to cook on the flame, so I'm going to cook it very quickly in the microwave, and it takes 12 minutes to cook. So let's start mixing all the ingredients together. Grated potato goes in first, grated sweet potato. I've taken 2 potatoes that I've grated and soaked it in water for 5 minutes to get rid of the extra starchiness, and I've also grated 2 sweet potatoes, but don't soak it in water after grating. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon ginger chili paste, salt to taste, sugar 2 to 3 teaspoons as per your liking, 1 whole lemon juice. Mix everything well. Now I'm going to make the tempering for the khichdi. I'm going to heat 1.5 tablespoon of oil, Once the oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon cumin seeds, few curry leaves. I'm going to turn off the flame and quickly add roasted peanuts, and I've coarsely ground them. Just stir them in for a few seconds, and now I'm going to mix this properly. I'm going to take a flat microwavable dish and I'm going to remove this mixture in it. Spread it properly. I'm going to cover it and microwave it. The piping hot khichdi is ready. So basically I've cooked this for 12 minutes in the microwave, 8 minutes with the lid and 4 minutes without the lid. But just keep stirring it after every 2 minutes. My favorite coriander leaves, lots of it, mix it, and it's ready to serve. While reheating this khichdi, remember that sprinkle a little bit of water and cover it and reheat it in the microwave for another 2 minutes so that it regains its moisture. This recipe can be eaten during fast. Don't you think it's really hassle-free with very simple ingredients? I'm sure you're going to try it at home and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to Rajshri Food. My name is Annuradha and it is my great pleasure to bring to you a Navratri special dish which is called Meetha Chaval or sweet rice. We make this very often, especially for Holi and also during the Navratra, at least once to offer to the Devi. So may I walk you through the ingredients? 1 cup of basmati rice. Now it's very important to take long grained rice because every rice should be fragrant, every rice should be separate. 2 cups of water, 1 cup of sugar, ghee, green cardamom for tempering, some cloves, cinnamon sticks, pine nuts, which is a very integral part of this dish, some saffron soaked, cardamom powder, slivered almonds, slivered pistachios. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rice and I'm going to wash it very well and add 2 cups of water and cook it like normal rice. So my rice is cooked and ready. The grains are absolutely free of one another and long. We're just going to add a cup of sugar to the hot rice. Just lightly mix so that the sugar gets mixed with the rice. Cover it and remove from heat. The heat from the rice is going to let the sugar melt very nicely. So we'll wait for this. It will take about 10 to 15 minutes. In the meantime, we will do the tempering. 2 teaspoons of ghee. To this I'm adding the green cardamoms, the cinnamon sticks, the cloves and the pine nuts. Now pine nuts is as much as you want. I've taken about 2 tablespoons. Now the pine nuts burn very fast, so be careful. Just let them roast lightly. Now they've got nice and brown. Now let's see what's happening to our rice. So our sugar has nearly melted. To this I'm going to add the tempering with the ghee, the saffron, and mix it well. This is really not the traditional way to make meetha rice, but then now we try to find all the shortcuts to it, and it comes out equally good. So don't let your mothers or grandmothers tell you anything. Now each grain is covered with saffron. The pine nuts are very well mixed. So our Meetha Chaval is absolutely ready. Cardamom powder, which goes over it, some almonds, and the lovely green for the color over our sweet rice. It can be served with curry. Another combination that I like with this is dry green moong, which is cooked. Please subscribe to Rajshri Food. See you soon. Bye-bye.
A festive season is always incomplete without something sweet to eat. We've all been kheer lovers since the time we've tasted it, haven't we? So today let me show you the very interesting and easy to make recipe for the Lauki ki kheer. I'm going to start with heating some ghee first. So in a hot pan, around a couple of tablespoons of ghee. Once the ghee is nice and hot, I'm going to saute the Lauki that I've grated and lightly squeezed out all the water. The Lauki has been sauteing since a couple of minutes, and now I'm going to add a liter of milk. This is full fat milk. Wow, that's a lot of milk. Stir it well. Let the milk boil for at least 5 to 6 minutes before we add the sugar. The Lauki or the bottle gourd is half cooked now, and now I'm going to add some sugar. Let this cook for another 5 to 6 minutes. The milk is reduced to the desired quantity, and now I'm going to add some cardamom powder, a few almond flakes, and turn off the flame. Let the kheer cool down completely, and then you can add a few drops of rose water if you have some. And it's cooled down completely, and now I'm going to add a few drops of rose water. This is ready to serve, and I'm going to serve them in these nice dessert bowls. Garnish it with a few almond flakes. Serve the kheer absolutely chilled. Apart from being made during festivals, you can even make it during fasts. Do try it at home, comment below. See you next time. Bye-bye.
What can be better than Nimbu Shikanji to energize yourself before a night of Garba? And trust me, is the perfect re-energizer after a long day at work. Hey guys, it's the Bombay chef Varun Inamdar, and welcome to Rajshri Food. Shikanji is also known as Shikanjvi or Shikanjbeen in North India. It is nothing but fresh lime juice, sweet, salted, or both. The most critical ingredient for that is, of course, lemon juice. So let's begin with that. I'm going to press this lemon with my palm and roll it lightly so that the juices kind of release and make the lemon softer and juicier. Well, alternately, you could also heat this in a microwave for 5 seconds to make it juicier. The next step is to press as much juice as possible from these lemons. I'll keep the lemon juice aside for a little while and allow me to introduce you to an ingredient which is called sabja or tukmaria seeds. These seeds swell up like jelly. I've added some water to this, and this can be aside for 10 minutes. While the sabja seeds are swelling, let's quickly make the shikanji. For this, I'm transferring the freshly pressed lemon juice in a blender jar. To this, I'm adding sugar. While you can also make this with honey, maple syrup or brown sugar, traditionally white sugar is used. To this, I'm adding in chilled water along with some cubes of ice. Let's give this a quick blitz. This is ready. Let's transfer this into a glass, but this time with some ice cubes, lemon slices and mint. Let's move on to the next variant, which is flavoring this with some fresh ginger. To the same shikanji mix, I'm going to add in fresh ginger juice and churn this one more time. Again, some ice, lemon, and this time a slice of ginger. To this, I'm going to add in some soaked sabja seeds. And finally, the third variant, which is flavoring this with fresh mint leaves. I'm just going to tear this roughly. And this time, it's going to be a nice, vibrant, green-colored shikanji. Your 3 varieties of shikanji are ready. But just before you serve them, I'm going to quickly show you a shikanji masala. For this, I'm going to use roasted cumin powder, chaat masala, pink salt, crushed black pepper, and salt. Let's give this a mix and sprinkle this on top of the shikanji. All you need now is a straw and a stirrer. Whatever the name, shikanji, shikanji, shikanjbeen or nimbu pani, this is the perfect energizer. And here's wishing all of you across the globe Happy Navratra.